Welcome back, Chiefs Studios, NFL Studios, and a couple other platforms we're live streaming on all across the internet on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, excuse me, multiple streams here. Wanted to jump into yesterday's Chiefs game. So Chiefs beat the Los Angeles Chargers 17-10. Boy, oh boy, bittersweet moment. How could I not mention in the opening statement, we lose Rashee Rice. Now, during the win, as I mentioned, Chiefs win 17-10. Kind of a low score, obviously a low-scoring game. Now, Patrick Mahomes, the season's kind of been up and down. Now, I say up and down. The Chiefs are 4-0, so they are undefeated. But going into this season, not really going into it as planned before the season. So we've won back-to-back Super Bowls, going for our third this year, and it just got that much more difficult trying to win our third in a row. So Mahomes kind of having an up-and-down year. We go into this year, so let me back up. Obviously, as we know, the previous 2 years, Chiefs have not had an explosive offense as we were used to seeing in previous years. As you know, Mahomes blasted into stardom and had a breakout season the first year he started, MVPs, Super Bowls, throwing for 5,000 yards seemingly every single season. And then these last 2 years, they trade, before that, a few years ago, they trade Tyreek Hill away, and the team identity kind of changes. So now they lose some weapons on offense. They're not as explosive, and they're more defensive oriented. Now, that's fine. You can obviously win championships that way, and they did the last 2 years. But it looks like coming into this season, the GM, Brad Veach, is going to revamp this offense. So we make a bunch of changes. We draft Worthy out of UT, the fastest combine player ever at wide receiver. We sign Hollywood Brown. Rashee Rice breaks out as your number one receiver throughout the second half of last season, and was seemingly going to have an all-pro, or at least Pro Bowl performance season this year. Well, in the first quarter, Mahomes overthrows Travis Kelce, throws an interception. While the player's running the interception back, the defensive back, the ball gets stripped, right? Fumble. Now, as this is happening, as the balls get falling out of the defensive back's arms, Rashee Rice, who did initiate the fumble, as he was planting his right foot after he swiped the ball away, Mahomes, after throwing the interception, runs after the player, trying to get a tackle. Frustrated, he threw an interception. Basically rolls into Rashee Rice's planted right leg in the turf and hyperextends his right knee. Very serious knee injury, obvious pain, had to be carted off the field. And it's presumed, and we'll check here in a second, we are presuming it's a serious knee injury. We're presuming it's a torn ACL, which would automatically mean he's gone for the rest of the year. Now, if that's the case, should be back for week 1 of next year, but a huge blow to this team because he is your number one receiver. And then Hollywood Brown, who you go out and get, who is going to be your apparent number 2 wide receiver, very explosive player. He has a shoulder injury and required surgery on the very first preseason game, the very first play. And he's out for the year. Shoulder surgery, gone for the year. Rashee Rice, apparent ACL tear, gone for the rest of the season. So your number 1 receiver is out for the year, and your number 2 receiver is out for the year. And that's the story of the game. Now, thank God they have a good defense, because it looks like you're going to have, for the rest of the season, you're going to have a repeat of last year. Very low-scoring game. Going to have to depend on defense. And as long as you have Andy Reid, as long as you have Mahomes, as long as you have that good defense, you're going to make the playoffs. But it's not going to be a given. You're not going to be a Super Bowl odds favorites now. You're rolling into the remainder of the year. You're going to have to lean on that defense, and you're going to have to basically lean on a running game. Now, that's a big question mark because their number 1 running back, Isaiah Pacheco broke his leg. He's going to be out for the majority of the season. And then their second running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's on the IR because due to some mental health issues. He's not mentally prepared to play. And that's fine. He's got his issues to deal with, and it is what it is. Hopefully he can get through that and come back playing as soon as possible. But your number 1 and number 2 wide receiver are out for the year. Your number 1 running back's gone for the year. Your number 2 running back, who knows when he'll be back. So you're seeing all these injuries pile up. Now, I think I'm obviously very concerned, as every Chiefs fan should be, but I believe they can still win this way. Now, they're going to make it exponentially more difficult, right? But they've proven last year they can win this way. So is it possible? Yes. Is it going to be harder? Much harder? Yes. We're going to have to wait to see how this season plays out. Now, of course it's a huge blow to the team, but what they absolutely cannot afford is a major defensive player go down with an injury. A Chris Jones. That would be a death blow. Any of your starting defensive backs, linebackers, defensive line need to stay healthy. It's imperative they stay healthy for the rest of the year. They can kind of put together some kind of makeshift offense, right? They did it last season, right? Andy Reid, probably the best coach. Well, not probably. He is the best coach in the NFL. And when it comes to basically patchwork as far as an offensive game plan, you have one of the better GMs in the league. I'm sure he's going to be all over the phone today. And we'll get into who they can bring in. And they're going to have to bring in somebody, right? I don't expect a huge name, but we'll get into that in a minute. Let's look at the game stats real quick. So here we have, can y'all see that? Maybe a little small. Chiefs win 17-10, 4-0 on the year so far. And obviously you can see Mahomes. Look, he's had to deal with a lot this year. People in and out of the lineup, injuries all over the place. So his stats are not going to be, jaw-dropping. They're not going to be Jaden Daniels stats. I can tell you that. But he's almost like, and I've described him as almost Mahomes as having the Michael Jordan effect, where in the first 3 quarters, could be up and down, could be inconsistent play, could have an interception here and there. But Mahomes is amazing because when in the fourth quarter, literally just takes over games. And if you have him on your side, you have an almost never going to die mentality. Meaning, if you have him in the game, somehow, some way, he's going to find a way to win. Not many players in history, in any sport, have that certain defiance or soul where they just refuse to die, refuse to lose. And thank God we have him on the team. Again, as long as we have Reed, as long as we have Mahomes, as long as we have the defense healthy, we'll be in almost every game. I doubt they get blown out here moving forward. But Kareem Hunt back on the team. Obviously, the Chiefs cut him, 4 years ago after a domestic violence event happened. He's back on the team because he basically knows the playbook and was ready to go right away. They signed him last week, they signed him on Tuesday, put him on the practice squad. They signed him before last game. I think they signed him last Saturday, did not play on the game last Sunday, but jumps in the starting role. Steele, the white dude with the long hair. He was in the starting role, but Kareem Hunt had the most carries, 14 carries, 69 yards on the day. Receiving yards, Kelsey's going to have to step up. I know they wanted to use him in a reserve role, basically, as I mentioned in the past, almost using him like Popovich did for the Spurs with Duncan and Ginobili and Parker when he got older, is kind of, ease them through the season and then really, really, really turn it up and lean on them in the postseason. Now, in a perfect world, in a perfect season, the Chiefs were going to do that with Kelsey, right? And we saw that through the first couple of weeks. Didn't really have a high catch number. Really didn't have a breakout game as far as receiving yards. But I expect all that to change next week. They're going to have to lean on him heavily. And I just hope he can hold up throughout the remainder of the season, because he may be running on fumes when the playoffs come. So it is what it is, and just got to deal with what you have at the moment, right? So let's look up, now that we got the stats, let me see if we have an official tear on his knee. Right, it is 2:27 Central Standard Time. Rashee Rice was going to have an MRI this morning, and let's see if we do have the news on this right now. Injury update 46 minutes ago. Let's see. I do not see. It does not look like the official injury report is out on Rice. It does not look like it is out, but he's going to miss significant time. If it's a sprain, an ACL sprain, he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, possibly a little longer. If it's tear, he's going to be out for the remainder of the season. Now, Andy Reid was quoted today at his press conference saying the Chiefs are saying we, meaning the Chiefs, are going to have to spread the ball with Rice's absence. Chiefs to spread ball around with Rashee Rice out. So, good news, bad news. So, bad news, Rashee Rice is out. Hollywood Brown is out at wide receiver. And even Pacheco is out. He was a good ball catcher in the backfield. You do have Kareem Hunt, who can catch the ball out of the backfield, right? I think they're going to get Edwards-Helaire back in the next week or two, so that should help things, assuming he's right mentally. Now, you do have, again, good news, bad news. Obviously, bad news, Rashee Rice out. Hollywood Brown out. Now, Pacheco's out. I mentioned Kareem Hunt. He's back on the team. He's a good ball catcher out of the backfield. The remaining wide receivers on the team are fortunately receivers that have been with the team for multiple years, right? Now, they could go out, and so they're players that know the playbook. Look, they may not be as talented as Rashee Rice. They may not be as fast as Xavier Worthy, but they know the playbook, and they've won Super Bowls in the past. So I expect them to really spread the ball out. They might go back and re-sign Kadarius Toney. I know they cut him. They may be giving him a call today and say, hey, we need you back on the squad. Now, I've been hearing proposed trades. So I've been hearing trades for, let's see, who was it? It was... shit. Amari Cooper, and then who was this one? Yeah, Amari Cooper. Oh, DeAndre Hopkins. How could I forget? Sorry, I had a brain freeze. DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper. Now, sure, you could trade for them, right? And now, I don't know if their team is willing to trade, right? You could want a player, but if they're not willing to trade, the Chiefs are desperate. So the other teams that know that could ask for a lot more in return. Chiefs may not be willing to do that, right? Or they may be really desperate and do it. Now, here's the other thing. If you bring in Amari Cooper, if you bring in Nuke Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins, don't expect immediate success, right? Oh yeah, fine. Thank God we got Nuke. I used to live in Houston. I used to watch Nuke every week. He's a fantastic player. He is a little older, but phenomenal hands. I think he's still got a couple of years at above average playing level. He doesn't know the playbook. Andy Reid is very good at getting players, working them into the system. But when you learn a brand new playbook, when you get traded for and you're expected to literally jump in and be the number one, number two receiver, don't expect fireworks right away, right? I mean, it may take 3-4 weeks for a wide receiver to have a full grasp of a playbook, right? So obviously, the sooner the better. I think trade deadline. The trade deadline is ironically on the election day. I think it's like November 5th or something. So you still have like 6-7 weeks before the trade deadline, maybe 5-6 weeks before the trade deadline. So it'll be interesting to see what gets done. I don't know if anything's going to get done today. If I were Brett Veach, I would call up Kadarius Toney, even though he's had drop problems. I would get and call Toney and see if he can get in the building and signed back on the team, since he knows the playbook. He's familiar with the playbook. As much as I don't want him on the team after all those drops last year, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So we'll have to see what happens. Very interesting as we move forward. We're going to have to lean on the defense. Going to have to spread the ball around. Going to have to lean on the running game. So if they can get Edwards-Helaire back healthy, you'll have the running back steal, the rookie, but he did have a bad fumble yesterday. You'll have the rookie steal, which I'm not too high on. He is a decent player, but he is a rookie. I'd rather play Edwards-Helaire. I'd rather play Kareem Hunt, get them in the mix, and then sign Kadarius Toney and spread the ball around, and then see if you can land a Nuke Hopkins or Amari Cooper possibly, right? So they're going to have to revert back to the style they played last season, defense dependent, which is okay. You know, I was expecting fireworks this year, but hey, we know they can play this style because they did it last year and they won a Super Bowl. So another roadblock. Really sucks. This year was going to be Rashid Rice's breakout season. Obviously, I think last year was, but we were expecting big things from Rashid Rice this year. And looks like we'll just have to wait another year. So thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. I will update if we get an injury report here. I'll probably go live tomorrow, the next day, and then we will go live later in the week. Looking forward to the Chiefs' next game, which is, who do they play next? Let's see real quick. Ooh, the Saints in Kansas City Monday night. So this upcoming week, New Orleans Saints play in Kansas City, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday, October the 7th. And then looking forward, you got the 49ers, tough game, and then the Raiders. So we will see how that goes. Should beat the Saints, but maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. But it is in Kansas City on Monday night, so you'd have that going for you. But we will see you the next day or two, and we will discuss the Saints game. This is Chief Studios. Thank you for watching. My name is Taylor Bell. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get notified whenever we go live and or have any injury reports and or game updates for you. Peace.